International Airfield and being part of solar impulses across America adventure. Now today, during this public day, we make a short film for our website, solarimpulse.com, where I'm joined by the pilots here, Andre Boschberg and Bert Afrika, to give answers.
Hello to everybody.
To give answers to your most burning, frequently asked questions, because there's been a lot of them during these public visits, and who better to explain it than the founders and the pilots of Solar Impulse themselves. So, without further ado, I thought I'd put some of your questions to them. I'd like to begin, if I may, with you.
We just have to test the microphone. Yeah, okay, that's good.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Bertrand, to begin with you, Solar Impulse, perhaps one of the biggest questions of all, but also one of the most simple ones. Why are you doing this?
Because we believe that aviation can inspire people to reach the impossible and demonstrate how new technologies can make unbelievable things happen, like flying day and night on solar power without fuel. And if it can be done in the air, of course it can be done on the ground for all the terrestrial applications.
Andre, looking at this magnificent plane behind us, is the cabin pressurized?
The cabin is not pressurized for weight reasons. It would cost too much weight in the aircraft, and they have decided to use oxygen instead. So despite the fact that we climbed to 28,000 feet, where it's very cold, but there is not a lot of oxygen to breathe, that's the way we go.
On that point, how do you manage to stay warm during the flight?
We have different systems, but above all we have passive measures. We use insulation, even in the same way that we could do in our homes. If we want to reduce our energy consumption, we can use more insulation, and that's what we do here. So the temperature outside is about minus 40 degrees, and inside it goes down still to minus 20 degrees, but it's better to be inside than outside, as you can imagine.
And do you wear a parachute?
Yes, we do wear a parachute. I think it's an airplane which is very safe, but it's still experimental. It's new, we explore, we discover, and I would say that's the last solution that we would have if we use the parachute, and I hope that's good. I hope that we don't need it, and I hope it works.
Bertrand, tell us, how do you manage to stay awake, stay alert for a 24-hour flight?
When we fly in this cockpit, although it's a single-seater, you have to imagine that you have thousands of people who are supporting you all through your flight. And they count on you to deliver this message about clean technologies, about protection of the environment. And it's such a big responsibility to do it well that I can promise you I don't like to sleep during that moment.
How do you actually prepare for that?
You have to prepare for the flight technically, with weathermen, with air traffic controllers, with our mission and operation team. And technically, because you have to know exactly what you have to do, and psychologically, by visualizing the flight in advance. Now when I take off, and it's the same for André, we have the flight completely visualized, and finally we follow our visualization.
Andre, tell me, what do you eat up there? What do you eat during the flight?
Well, eating is very important because that's new energy. So we had to find out what was necessary for us in terms of nutrition, and of course we also need to have food which copes with different temperatures. It can be very cold in the morning, plus 25 degrees because of the sun coming into the cockpit, but of course it's also very cold at the beginning of the night when we are very high. So temperature has to support and fix these differences. So these are dry foods, for example, bars, some of the liquids, but we have to keep warm so that they don't get frozen. So these are specially developed products that we use in the airplane.
That sounds delicious. A big question, how do you go to the bathroom?
above, you have to imagine when we take off, we have full bottles of water on the right side and empty bottles on the left side. And when we land, it's exactly the other way around. So it basically works for 24 hours of flight. For the flights of several days on the second airplane, there will be real official toilets. But if you want to see the details, there's a nice video clip that has been prepared for that.
Do you have a name for the plane?
Until now, Solar Impulse is the project, the plane, and the message. And maybe when we have the second airplane, we'll ask all our community of friends and followers to vote for a specific name for the plane which is going to fly around the world. So that will be really the way to represent all our friends and followers.
What about the aviation name of HBSIA? What does that stand for?
Well, Hotel Bravo Sierra India Alpha, that's the registration of the airplane for Switzerland. CH is Switzerland, like November, M is for America. And SIA, we were really lucky to get this number. It's Solar Impulse Alpha, the first one.
Yay!
Solar Impulse Bravo,
Yay!
the second. And we also have a number reserved already, SIC, in case we make a third airplane, but this we don't know if we have the courage to do.
Andre, tell me, how big is your support team and what do they do?
That's a large team of many people. We have about 15 people on the grounds, which helps to bring this airplane on the runway, which helps to be prepared for the takeoff, which accompany the airplane when it starts rolling before being able to take off, and which receive this airplane and catch it when we land. But then we have another important team on the ground, which is far away, which is in Switzerland, which is the Mission Control Center, made of weather specialists, made of ATC specialists, and people preparing the flights and doing all the routing. This airplane has to stay in good weather, in calm air, and that's what these guys are working on and helping us to achieve.
Bertrand, tell me, how fast does the plane go?
It flies about 45 miles an hour. And if we wanted to double the speed, we would need 8 times more energy collected to be able to do it. So you see, that would not be possible. So in that sense, we have to choose between duration and speed, and we chose duration. The fly can be forever. You don't need to refuel. You don't need to land. You can stay in the air forever. Of course, the pilot not, but the plane could.
And Andre, what's your average cruising altitude?
Well, there is almost no average because we climb and descend all the time. And during the day we climb to 28,000 feet. That's a way to store energy in altitude. And during the night, at the beginning of the night, we will use this altitude as energy reserve and slowly fly down with the propeller turning in an idle mode. And this will last about 4 hours. Then we'll stabilize at low altitude, about 6, 7, 8, 9,000 feet, and use the batteries to fly for the remaining part of the night, to be ready to start again the following day when the sun rises again, climbing to these 28,000 feet for the second day, and thereafter if you want to stay longer.
Bertrand, what weather conditions would actually ground the plane?
This airplane has the size in wingspan of a jumbo jet 747, and it has the weight of a small car. So we can imagine that it's very sensitive to turbulence, to crosswind, to thermals. This is why we have decided really to make strict weather conditions to take off. It's 10 knots headwind, it's 4 knots crosswind. So some people could say, well, that's really not very often that you can fly, but actually it's exactly like this that it was with the first airplanes 100 years ago. They had to fly in good weather conditions. There was also one pilot on board only, and you see where aviation has brought us. So now we're making a new cycle in aviation's history, completely with solar power, without any fuel, but we have to start from scratch, and we will see where it will lead us.
Andre, how does the plane itself handle turbulence?
It's an airplane which has 2 different personalities. When the air is very calm, it's extremely nice to fly. You can fly with 2 fingers. It's very stable. it's a real beauty. But when it starts to be turbulent, it's a very heavy workload for the pilot. So you need the entire capacity of the flight controls to steer the airplane, and of course you need a lot of concentration. So we try to avoid it. That's the reason why we take off early in the morning, we land at night, after midnight, and also when the traffic slows down on these big airports like Sky Harbor.
On that point, how does the plane actually take off and land?
It takes off by rolling about 400 feet, a little more than 100 meters, and you can do it either with direct sunlight or with the electricity you have in the batteries from the previous flight. So normally when we land, even midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, there's enough energy in the batteries for the next pilot to continue the flight one of the following days.
And just a few final questions now. One of my favourite things as Solar Impulse is always watching white bicycles. Andre, can you explain what these white bikes are for?
These bikes are electro bikes, first of all. This airplane has a main landing gear, a tail wheel, but it has no landing gear on the side. So it has to be hauled before takeoff, and of course it has to be catched when the airplane slows down after the landing. And the way we do it, very simply, is to have a bicycle and a biker coming from behind, very fast, because these bikes are very fast, electric, and this person catching the airplane before it stops and stabilizing it.
And on that final point about stabilization, perhaps could you just explain, Andre, what the white poles that we can see here from the wings, what they actually do?
The white poles below the gondola, you mean? These white poles below the gondolas are the parts that the ground crew will catch and holds before takeoff and after landing. That's the easiest way to land, and that's the closest to the ground. But on the other side, if nobody is there, if the airplane has to land on another airport, we also have small wheels attached to it. So when the airplane slows down and stops, at least it can rest on one of these small wheels.
Gentlemen, thanks very much for your time.
I'd just like to add something, even if it's not a question. Audrey and I, we think it's great to have you here and to have the public coming to see this airplane. Because actually, this is exactly what it's about. In our world now, there are a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, a lot of bad governance, a lot of crises, and people very often are depressed by all the problems. And what we want to show with Solar Impulse is the need for pioneering spirits, for exploration spirits, for innovation that can bring new solutions, that can bring hope, not only dreams, but hope in our world when people manage to think out of the common assumptions, out of the certitudes, in order to create and invent a better future. And this is what Solar Impulse would like to carry as a message, and that's why it's great to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, definitely one comment that I can comment as well. That's where we operate all the time.
Yeah, they all for a lot of questions, and then we do what we want anyway.
You have to realize, and that's interesting, this airplane is not built by the aviation world. This airplane is built by companies who have nothing to do in aviation. Chemical industry, electronics, semiconductors. People who had and have interesting technologies to help us reduce the energy consumption of the airplane. So to be able to fly day and night with this airplane, of course we use the sun, but what we had to do is to really use as little energy as possible. And this we achieved by making it very big and very light. And all the technologies that carry this airplane, you can use them in your daily life. The insulation of this gondola, which is behind me, that's an insulation which will go into refrigerators. And it's interesting, it's picked up by a company called Bayer, and you know Bayer because Bayer produces aspirate, so I think it's well-known, very well. But I still feel these companies will help us to achieve our goal.
And if all these technologies were used massively everywhere in our world, we could already today divide by 2 the energy consumption of the world and produce half of our needs with renewable sources. And the proof is here.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to the stage, for answering some of our most frequently asked burning questions for Solar Impulse. I know that you're deep in flight preparations now, looking at how we're going to continue taking this plane across America, the next step Dallas, Texas, so I'll leave you to with all your preparations. Thank you very much, and I hope all of you enjoy this day. If you have any other questions, lots of members of the ground crew are around, and you can as well sign up on our website, solarimpulse.com, become a supporter. If you become a friend, it's free, and you'll be notified as soon as possible on all of our latest developments, so please do join. Thank you.
As a friend, you'll be flying with us as a virtual passenger.
Whoa!
With us on the airplane, and to Dallas, to St. Louis, to Washington, up to New York, so please join us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you.